Okay, everybody, this next question from CodingBat, problem set AP-1, is user compare. Never compare yourself to others is good advice, but apparently this method is designed to compare people, except that it's not doing anything mean. They're just comparing whether or not one particular person alphabetically comes before or after another person. So just the alphabet. No cyberbullying going on here. So how this works is that they're given four parameters. The first two represent one user, and the second two represent another user. So we're going to compare this user and that user. And the first criteria is to see if their name comes before one or the other. And we're going to use the compare to method. We'll take a look at the compare to method again. It's basically a method that actually any ordered um, any object with some kind of order implied in its nature can call. So for example, strings can be alphabetically ordered, so you can use compare to decide which comes before which. So we'll use compare to. So we'll compare the letters, and we can use compare to just to find out which comes first. And that's if one wins over the other, then that's all you need to do. So just return. If they're the same, however, then you got to go to the user ID. So the user ID is set like the tiebreaker, and if one is less than the other one, then it'll break the tie. It'll be that one that wins. And then if they're exactly the same, like in this example here, they're actually the same, then you can indicate that as well. So how do you indicate which user won? So here's the deal. You return -1 if the first user wins. In other words, the first user should come first in order. You return +1 if the second user should win, and you return 0 if both users are the same. So to make some more sense of that, think of a number line. I think I did this in another video, but I'll bring up a number line with negative and positive. Positive. See if we can find an image of that. Oh, there's a bunch there. Here's a decent. This is a beauty. Open up a new tab. There we go. Woo! There we go. I know this is not news to you, but this will help you understand how compare to works as well as how this question is supposed to work. So remember how the question's asking us to return sort of -1 if the one on the left wins, and +1 if the one on the right wins, and 0 if they're the same. So the negative and positives sort of call out to the number line, right? On the number line, the negative numbers are on the left. On the number line, the positive numbers are on the right. So they're using the positive and negative to tell you if it's the right or the left one that won. Eh? Yeah. And then we got 0, which is neither positive nor negative. Thanks, Jeff Zhang, for teaching me that this year, because I got that wrong. I think. I can't remember the story behind that, but I'm pretty sure that I got that wrong this year. But anyways, it's 0. It's in the middle, and so we use 0 to represent that it return. We're saying, oh, they're the same. It's in the middle. Neither left or right is ahead of each other. So that's sort of the background story behind how this question is supposed to work. It's also the background story of how compare to works, and I'll show you about that. But if that's all you need to know, if you're like, okay, I just want to go try it now, please go ahead and do so, and pause me, and then press play again when you're ready to see the answer. So pause. Okay, and we're back. And we have the question right here. User compare. It takes the string, the ID of the first person, and the string and ID of the second person. The left person and the right person might be a good way to think of it, because that's how our numbers are going to work. So here we got compare to. So compare to returns either a negative number if this one wins, a positive number if this one wins, and by wins I mean if it precedes it alphabetically. If it's earlier in the dictionary than the other one, then it wins, so to speak. So if this one comes first alphabetically, it returns a negative number. If this one comes first in the dictionary, Then return a positive number to indicate that the right one won. And if they're the same word, it returns 0. So here's what we do. If alpha was greater than 0, if it was positive, that means that B name comes first alphabetically. And now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I structured my question a little bit poorly. Maybe I should have put B name here first. Because if it's positive, that means that if compare to returns a positive number, then the right one won. So I should return -1. Sorry, I got that mixed up. Let me start again. I should probably edit this video. But here we go. If it's less than 0, that means it was negative. Oh, okay, much better. So if it was less than 0, it was negative. If it was negative, that means that this one comes first in the dictionary. It's on the left. That's where negative numbers are. So this one is the winner. It is the first one in the dictionary. So that means we can safely return -1. And if alpha, if this thing that compared to returned is a positive number, that means the right one won. It is this one is the one that's first in the dictionary. So we can safely return +1. And notice how we're using if, else if. So now what if these two were equal? If these two were equal, it would return 0. So neither this would be true nor this would be true, because 0 is neither less than 0 or greater than 0. So we go to the next thing. And the next thing is the tiebreaker. We want to see about the ID numbers. So if I get to this if condition, that means alpha must be 0. The compare to value must have been 0 because it didn't return. So then I'm going to check to see, well, okay, that's 0, so they're the same name, but I'll check these. So at first I check the IDs. If they're the same, I just return 0 because that means I'm saying these people are the same. They have the same name and the same user IDs. And then I have another else if. So I can still assume that the names are the same. So now I check to see if this user ID came first. If if A's, the left person's user ID is less, then I'm going to return -1 because that means that their ID was the tiebreaker and they won. And then the final case is, I guess B was the one that was smaller, but I don't have to code that because it's the only other possibility. So I just use an else, and then I just return +1. That explanation took a little dive in the middle there. Sorry about that. I hope that it still makes sense. And at the end of the day, I think it's mostly just some if-else's. And there's more. If you have a better way to solve this, I'd love to see it. I mean, I feel like I could probably tune this down a bit. I have a suspicion, but I'll leave that as an exercise for you. If you come up with a better solution, feel free to send it to me. Okay? Thanks, everybody.